Hi there VC, Steve Whitty here, time for another video. It's been a couple of weeks since the last one and falling short of inspiration for one to show. I'm going to show you off another box of singles that I've played. Going to show you, then I can go and file them away up there. So without further ado, we'll start off, and this first one is the Human League, Empire State Human. So this came out in '79. I think this might be a reissue, or it was reissued. It's quite commercial sounding single. Human League at that point were quite more experimental, so I am really happy to have that one. Next up, a couple by this guy. This is Ian Hunter. This is a live, sort of like live EP, two record EP, to promote his live album, Welcome to the Club. So the tracks on here are We Gotta Get Out of Here, Side 2, Once Bitten Twice Shy, Bastard, Cleveland Rocks, and then record 2, Sons and Daughters, and One of the Boys. And then another Ian Hunter single, and this is Something's Going On. Next up, a few records by bands that operated in the sort of late 70s, and this is The Inmates. This is their version of Standell's Dirty Water, which was probably their nearest thing they got to hit single. Then Love Got Me, and then finally by them, So Much in Love. They were a sort of like R&B band, very similar to like a Dr. Feelgood type band. They were popular live band, but just never had the hit singles. Next up, this is unused. This is a band called Iron Cross. This single called Little Bit of Soul, released in 1972. Sort of hard, the name sort of gives it away. It's a bit of like a hard rock band type vibe. And then follow that, we've got Isley Brothers, Fight to the Power, Parts 1 and Part 2. Iron Maiden, Running Free. This is the live version that came out in 1985, I believe. And they're backed by Sanctuary. And a couple by this guy I'm really pleased to have found. It's Joe Jackson, Sunday Papers, and backed by Look Sharp. I've probably might have said this, it's one of my favourite albums of all time, Look Sharp by Joe Jackson. And then Stepping Out, backed by Another World. This was his bit single that was a big hit in the UK in 1983. It was also a hit in the US as well. Yeah, one of my favourite singers. Next up, three from this band. The Jam, All Around the World, backed by Carnaby Street. That was a top 10 hit for them. It was sort of like their breakthrough hit. They followed it up with The Modern World, which wasn't such a great hit. You got a couple of live tracks on the B-side, Sweet Soul Music and Back in My Arms Again, sort of like showing off their sort of like the Paul Weller's roots a little bit, mod roots. And then Jam, a town called Malice, backed by Precious. It was a double A side, went in straight at #1, and at that point the Jam had become the biggest act in the UK. And it's hard to believe that it's 40 years ago since the split up. I think Weller, I think obviously the other members of the band were upset about it, but I feel that maybe Weller just wanted to move on. Now you could go off and make a solo album, but I get the feeling it was always Weller. If you follow Paul Weller's career, there's always been a time when he's always pressed the reset button. I've just been reading an article in Record Collector which interview he gave, and you know, it'll. If he said if he kept the things that he carried on doing just for the fans' sake, keeping the fans happy, he'd still be playing with the Jam, but he wouldn't be happy. So, and you know, it's that balancing. You know, you keep yourself interested as a musician, or you try and keep hold of the fan base. Next up, Japan, European Sun. This came from the Quiet Life album. At the time when I did my Japan video, it marked a change in the band's sound and the look. So I'd never seen before, but I'd heard of them, but never really listened to them. This is Jason and the Scorchers, Shop It Around. So it was interesting to listen to that. So it's Peter J and the Jaywalkers, Can 62. Yeah, released in 1962, very much of its time. This is a bit interesting. Jebediah. This is a promo single. It's called All Together. So you got mono version on the orange Epic label, and then on the white Epic label you got the stereo version. And then next up, April Skies by Jesus and Mary Chain. I've got very little, this is the only bit of Jesus and Mary Chain I've got on vinyl. I don't think I've got that much on CD either. Maybe it's just a band that I'm just allowed to pass me by. Next up, I've got a few singles by this band. This is Jethro Tull. This is Sweet Dream. And then I've got Inside. And this is a sort of like an EP here. So Life is a long song, and Up the Pool, and then backed by Dr. Bogenbroom, From Later, and Nursey. So, and then more later in the 70s, you've got Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die, and then A Stitch in Time for the live single from Busting Out. Whoop. And that's in white vinyl. There we go. And this is Elton John, The Bitch Is Back on DJM. Judas Priest, Breaking the Law. This is the sort of gatefold. There we go. I would love to find, when this was issued originally, it came with a patch, and for those who follow heavy metal, it used to have the jackets where you sewed your patches on the back of the jacket. So obviously a lot of those patches ended up on back of denim jackets, which have obviously been thrown away. I'd imagine that could be quite expensive to find one of those. Kansas, Carry On Wayward Son, sorry. Speedy King, he of Thunderclap Human, and this is Bad Boys. This is a bit, not unusual, but Kiss Kenny, Heart of Stone. This was sort of like their debut hit. They morphed into a bit of a boy band after this. This is quite a good song, actually. It's quite high vocal, very sort of intense song. Listening to this, you wouldn't believe what they became afterwards. Couple from the Kinks, Supersonic Rocket Ship, and probably the last big hit in the UK, Come Dancing. Something a bit different, and this is Al Cooper, and it's You Never Know Who Your Friends Are. And Kersal Flyers. I've already got this, but this was a promo, so it's Little Does She Know, one of the great novelty singles. It was their biggest hit. As you all know, the Kersal Flyers documentary that appeared on the BBC was sort of the inspiration for Spinal Tap. They did try and follow it up with the next one, The Sky's Falling In On Our Love. Again, another promo there. Something I was really pleased to find. They certainly don't have singles by that band. This is Led Zeppelin, Over the Hills and Far Away, backed by Dancing Days. Okay, 3 from this artist. I have got other copies, but this has got a decent cover, so I might do a bit of Frankensteining and donate the rest back to Oxfam. This is Happy Christmas War Is Over, John Lennon Plastic Ono Band. Yeah, it's coming up to Christmas. Number 9, Dream. Beautiful song. And then Love. No, it isn't in the cover. This came out in '82 on the back. I think they did the John Lennon collection. Jonah Louie, I Think I'll Get My Hair Cut. This was the sort of in-between single between his 2 hits in Kitchen and Parties and Stop the Cavalry. Huey Lewis and the News, Do You Believe in Love? Little Steven, and this is Trail of Broken Treaties. This is a song about the really about the Native Americans. I think that's what that was all about. Next, I've got a few singles by this band, Living Colour. So this is Middleman, just like. Then you've got Glamour Boys, the single, the original single. Then Cult of Personality, Open Letter to a Landlord. Then in the UK they released Glamour Boys because the band had become very successful, particularly in the US. So this came out again. This is a double single, two single EP. So you've got Glamour Boys, you've got Middleman, Cult of Personality, and Open Letter to a Landlord. So in a sense, they've been putting all the other singles into sort of like a greatest hits EP. And then later on in their career, I think this is from the 3rd album, this is Nothingness. And I believe this is sort of like a blue vinyl. Andy Mackay, Wild Weekend from Roxy Music. Paul and Linda McCartney, Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. Now this was only released in the US. It became a #1 hit single for him in the US, but it was never released in the UK. More McCartney and Wonderful Christmas Time. This would have been released around this time, so I can even get away with showing Christmas records. More McCartney coming up. And then on the back side, you've also got a live version on the other side as well, which I think was more popular in the US than the studio version. Finally, more McCartney, Take It Away, which came out in '82. Madness, Michael Caine. Again, Our House. Now these probably Madness ones are more because they were better covers, so I just tried to just swap them around. I did find a few singles in like brown paper bags. This is Madness and this is Yesterday's Men. It's a great song, very underrated album. Mad Not Mad. they try to be more mature, from get away from that sort of like nutty sound, and that song is just an underrated song. I think it just gets a little bit lost a little bit. A couple of Manfred Manns. This is their Groove In with Matt EP. No Living Without Loving EP. On its master's voice. Dave Mason, Crying, Waiting, Hoping. And that's a promo copy on CBS. I've just got a couple more to show you. And Malcolm McLaren, Madame Butterfly, so adapted the Madame Butterfly opera. And then finally, John Mellencamp, Rocking the USA. Excellent. A sort of homage to the music he was listening to growing up. So there you go, VC. That's the box of singles. They have been cleaned now. So I hope you like what I've shown. I'll be listening to music in between listening to matches on the World Cup. I'm really torn about the World Cup. I didn't watch the England game. I listened to it while I was at work, and I haven't watched any of the games. I'm still uneasy about it being in Qatar, but hey, it's on now. I suppose if England do well, I'll probably get excited, but I'm not really too fussed at the moment. Anyway, whatever you get up to, VC, make sure you have a good one. Take care of yourselves. Keep spinning. More importantly, keep on smiling.